Hi, this is Zach Wheeler. Welcome to Phillies Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Philly Show. Ruben Amaro Jr., look at him.
I'm here.
I'm touching him. We're uncomfortably close. Jim Salisbury's back in Philly. I'm Todd Zalecki. Hope everybody's doing well. It's Friday, March 14th, 2025. Ruben, how does it feel to be back in Clearwater?
Love it. Love it. The weather's fantastic. Nice to see the fans supporting the team here as well. And it's been great. Can't wait for Jim to come back down if he really wants to come back down. I don't know what Jim's problem is, but we need to get him back down here so the triumvirate can be together.
I was watching some ball the other day. I watched Westchester University lay one on Wilmington University. Westchester got a hell of a club. So
you're a real fan, Jane. You're a true fan, brother.
You miss it so much. You went over to Westchester U to watch some ball.
Oh, yeah, it's great. Love watching the local colleges play. A lot of good talent around here.
The local nine, Jim, as you like to say.
Nine.
They really are the local nine.
Local nine. You're Harvey Hooper, 1950.
No. You get
What's his name? What's his name?
Harry Hooper, and he's in the Hall of Fame.
Sorry.
He's in the Hall of Fame, Harry Hooper?
He's in the Hall of Fame, the big one in Cooperstown.
That's awesome.
He's now he's a borderline pick for me. Harry Hooper.
Harry Hooper,
Yeah,
borderline.
in the Hall of Fame.
Can you give me a quick Harry Hooper? Can you give me a quick Harry
Hooper?
Yeah, give us a little his acceptance speech.
We laid a thumping on the Phils in the World Series. World champs we are.
What was in the post-game spread?
What was in the post-game spread back then? Probably like
some vittles.
Cabbage and
cabbage,
corned beef and cabbage.
Yeah, exactly right. Oh my God, so funny. So all right, so the Phillies today, it's Friday. They have a spring breakout game. It's here at Baycare Ballpark. So all the top Phillies prospects are playing all the top Pirates prospects. So that'll be a lot of fun. Then later tonight, Friday night, the Phillies are in Tampa at George M. Steinbrenner Field playing the Yankees. Taijuan Walker will be pitching, so that'll be worth watching. But yesterday, I wanted to bring this up because we've gotten some comments and some questions about Trea Turner at the plate. Trea Turner hitting leadoff yesterday, leadoff home run. And then he walks. He has a sacrifice fly. And I was talking with Kevin Long about Trea earlier this week, asking him, hey, he's kind of struggling this spring. I know it doesn't matter, but what do you make? And he said, honestly, I think that Trea coming into camp was so focused on letting the ball backing up on the ball and going to the opposite field. He said he kind of got caught in between in his decision-making. He said he feels like Trea's getting more comfortable in that decision-making process right now. And from what Trea told Kevin Long, that Trea said, as long as I feel good with about 3 or 4 days to go before the season starts, I think I'll be okay. So can you explain when a lot of people talk about, you hear like hitting coaches and players say, back the ball up, but I don't know if everybody knows what that means. Tell everybody what that means. What does that mean, backing the ball up?
Yeah, I think, there's obviously been a lot of talk about swing decisions and seeing the ball longer and not guessing and making sure that you see the ball longer. That's sort of what when you say backing the ball up, you sort of want to see the ball longer so you can make better decisions. The only way to do that is to get ready and get into your hitting position early. It's like a fine line. You want to get into your hitting position early to be able to make those decisions, but you want to be able to wait longer and see the ball longer so that you're swinging at strikes. Obviously, it's been an issue, especially late in the season when, they're sort of exploiting the Phillies' aggressiveness. And when you are really an aggressive hitter, you want to make sure that you see the ball longer so that you can swing at strikes. You can make adjustments on breaking pitches. You can make decisions on breaking pitches and off-speed pitches, and yet you can still be quick enough to handle the hard stuff. And most stuff is pretty firm these days, and that's a hard thing to do in this day and age because the velocity has increased on average so much that it forces you to make your decisions earlier. That's what they mean by backing it up. And I always believed in spring training, there's like 3 processes that has to happen. 3 levels that have to happen. You start off, you first want to see pitches. You haven't seen pitches for several months. You want to see a live arm. You make adjustments. It takes some time to make that adjustment. You get hot. You start swinging the bat better, and then all of a sudden there's they're not now the guys are spinning the baseball. So I think that there's like this there's sort of an undulation of your ability to get hot. And I think what hitters typically want to do is, as you said, by 2 or 3 days before spring training, you want to be before the end of spring training, you want to be in a position to have all of your mechanisms, straightened out, your timing, your legs underneath you, and also your ability to recognize pitches. And Kevin Long is very hopeful that most of the guys get to that point. Not everybody's there, but typically most of the veteran guys get to that point. They know how many at bats, they know how many reps they need to get there. And you're starting to see Trea Turner get to the point where we're seeing the ball a little bit better and not quite so in between. When you're in between, you're lost. It's a little bit like feeling, same sort of thing.
Love that you used the word undulation on the Phillies.
Undulation.
Phillies
that wasn't on the bingo card this morning, was it?
It's a hell of a word. Just listening to what Kevin Long said, they kind of put a lot on Trea Turner's plate coming in.
Mm-hmm.
More selectivity, use the whole field, don't be pull happy. So it just sounds like he might have been thinking too much, and sometimes thinking can be the enemy of good performance.
You got to be dumb to hit.
Yeah, a little bit. And Charlie used to say that, and I know what he means by it, because hitting is it sounds a little silly, but obviously baseball is a thinking person's game, but it's more a reaction game. You got to be so confident in your process and your skill that you eliminate the decision and it becomes a reaction. The reaction is quicker than a decision. I know it's splitting hairs, but if he says he only needs, as long as he's good 2 or 3 days before opening day, honestly, I believe that because I've seen hitters get hot with a good take. Seriously, they take a pitch and they just know they saw it so well that they're this close to being locked in. So if he's slowly progressing toward being locked in and committed to using the whole field to the point where he's not thinking about it, he's just reacting and it's happening, that's a good thing. You think he's going to end up being the leadoff guy? I do.
I feel like you almost have to.
Yeah.
Like you think it could possibly help. And I know Rob gets asked it like literally almost every day,
because one day he's going to say, you have to ask those questions. I understand. Because one day he's going to say, as a matter of fact, I have arrived at a decision. Get your notebooks out.
I know. That's the part I wish I'd tell Rob. Like, Rob, literally, we have to ask you every day because the day we don't, you're going to go, actually, I made up my decision on Monday. You guys never asked me on Monday.
Right. It's like it should be a standing question. And if I tug on my right ear, and you tug on your left ear, that means no. But if you tug on your right ear, that means I have an answer for you. So ask the question. It's like, but I feel like one of these days, or it might be not until opening day in Washington, but just feel like that's the way. Honestly, it's been trending since October. When
the real question is, how long does he stay with it?
Right.
And
got to give it a ride. You got to give it a little bit of a ride. But it's been trending this way since October, since their breakup news conference, when Rob offered he might move Schwarber out of the leadoff hole down to the middle of the order. It was right there. You could almost see the sign, the beacon going off that this is coming, this is coming, this is coming, and I feel like we're seeing it.
And I really do. I have to tell you, I really do like the order that he threw out there yesterday. They scored a bunch of runs, and it was nice to validate that. But when you have Turner, Harper, Bohm, and then Schwarber, boy, you got a lot of thunder at the top of that lineup. Then you follow with some pretty darn good hitters after that too. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you're looking at some quality, and those are really, in my mind, your best top 4 hitters. And your most the ones that should be the most productive. Then you follow it up with Casti, and I like the way Kepler's swinging the bat.
He hit a bomb yesterday.
Yeah, he hit a tracer, and he looks relaxed. He looks good at the plate. He's making good swing decisions. Takes. You talk about takes. It sounds silly, but it looks like he's seeing the ball really well. But you make a really astute point with the takes, Jim, because when you take a pitch and you're not off balance and you see the ball and you know it's either a ball or strike, that really is a confidence builder for you in the box. I knew as a hitter that if I saw a pitch and I took it, a changeup or whatever breaking pitch that was just off the plate, and I took it and did not offer at it, I felt like that guy doesn't have a pitch to get me out. And when you have that feeling in the box, it's a good
it's like that one it's like that one moment sometimes can unlock something. I remember reading something about Tom Glavine. He was having trouble with his changeup. He was out in the outfield shagging back in the days when pitchers would shag, and he picked up a ball and he threw it in with a changeup grip, and it just felt right. For some reason, something just felt right, and it got him on track with his changeup for like 10 starts in a row. So sometimes a little thing can click for a hitter or a ball player. Todd, did you get the impression from talking to Kevin Long that he is eager to see what this guy can do in the leadoff hole?
Yeah, I think so. I think he is interested in seeing what happens. I don't think he didn't seem like overly concerned either way, whichever way Rob goes with the lineup. But I do think he's kind of intrigued by what Trea could do in that leadoff spot. If it could make him more selective, it could make him more in tune with just getting on base and, going to the opposite field a little bit more, maybe take some pressure off of him, not having to feel like he has to pull the ball all the time. So I think there is a little bit of that intrigue, but I also think if Rob says tells Kevin 5 days before opening day, I'm just going to stick with Schwarber. Forget it. We're going to go that way. I think he'd be fine with that as well. Trea also is of course trying to, improve his shortstop play. Matt Gelb at The Athletic wrote a little bit about that. Trea knows that Trea's heard all the talk about you're moving to left field next year if you don't get better. And I wanted to talk about something else though. Bryce Harper talked to Ken Rosenthal, Fair Territory, and The Athletic a couple weeks ago about being open to moving to the outfield. And he talked to the Phillies in the offseason about it. And I followed up with Bryce just the other day because I thought it was so interesting. Because Bryce basically said, I talked to the Phillies in the offseason. I said, hey, if you could find, if it could help make the team better for a season, I would go back out to the outfield. I thought that was interesting. Pete Alonso was the big bat at first base. And I said, so you would really do this, huh? He's like, yeah. And honestly, if they come up to me in July and they say, there's a first baseman out there, maybe it's Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Yeah, do you think that's what he's thinking about?
Maybe it's Vlad Guerrero Jr. And he said, I would move out there. I would try to do what I can, move out to the outfield if they needed me to do that for a half season. What do you guys think about Bryce's willingness to go out there? Now you have Nick Castellanos and right, you have Max Kepler and left. Now you would find a place for Bryce, of course, but just the idea that Bryce has told the front office, if you need me to move, I would move to the outfield if you could get a big bat.
I mean, it obviously tells you that he wants to win a World Series. That's the main goal. I mean, he's won everything else. I mean, the articles that you've seen, Matt Gelb and others who have written, and you yourself have written, have been great about that. I think it's really important for people to understand there is, even though they haven't talked about it a lot, which I kind of like it, the fact that they haven't really talked, they know that their job is to win a World Series. That's what they want to do. These guys all have the money for the most part. The Phillies have taken care of them. They've done a lot of things for their families. They've created an atmosphere that is a winning type atmosphere. It's now really up to the players to do their jobs. And I think they know that, but they're not talking about it a lot. I think they're going to try to just let it happen. I think that they're just going to, hopefully they'll let their abilities just take over when it's time for that to happen. And this is a perfect example of these guys. Their sole goal right now is to win a World Series. For anybody who thinks that that's not what they're trying to do, or they're not, they're not getting pushed hard enough by Rob Thompson or whatever the case may be, that's a bunch of BS. The reality of it is these guys want to win and they'll do anything to do so. And that's a perfect example of, and for the same reason, guys like Schwarber and Turner will hit anywhere in the lineup. Same thing with Harper. You put me in the lineup with that. If the manager thinks that's the best way to go, let's go do it. And And that's a testament to what these guys are about and how they, what this clubhouse is about. And that's an important element, because if they're pulling on the same side of the rope, they got a great chance to be a champion.
So where are we batting Vlad in the lineup?
He can hit wherever he wants, baby.
That would be a good one, right? Maybe then you can talk
I would
Bryce.
throw him right behind Bryce,
Yeah.
baby. Right behind him for the protection. I mean, that would be just a ridiculous lineup. But
they're
crazier things have happened.
Yeah, definitely. It's a fascinating storyline heading into the season. What's going to happen with Vlad? Is he going to be traded, or, reportedly I've read that they're like $50 million apart. The way they've had trouble attracting some players, closing deals with some guys, the Blue Jays. I mean, I know they got Santander, but there has been other difficulties closing deals. I mean, do you feel like, Ruben, as you watch that situation from 30,000 feet, that they got to close that gap?
I think that they do. I really do. If they made the commitment to Santander, I think that it's a really big marketplace. They own the entire country of Canada. And so I think Rogers is pretty papered up. I got to believe that they've gotten to the point where they've missed out on so many big ones that for them to lose this one would be really, really tough for them. And I got to believe that at some point they're going to get to the point where they're going to have to sign Vlad, just because it would really look bad. I mean, it's tough to stay. And listen, there's good teams in the AL East, but that's still a winnable, very winnable.
Yeah.
I mean, the Yankees are beat up.
Mm-hmm.
There's all types of stuff going on in that AL East. The Orioles haven't really honed up their pitching staff. Boston's not quite there yet. They're trying. That's a very winnable division right now, and it didn't used to be that way. It used to be Yankees and Boston. That was it. But I think that the Toronto Blue Jays are going to be, in a lot of ways, going to be forced to make that happen with Vlad. I hope they don't, because it'll open up a whole lot of things for a lot of teams who are looking for first base
thumpage.
So the Phillies on Thursday, they announced that Jimmy Rollins and Ed Wade are going to be inducted onto the Wall of Fame on August 1st, Alumni Weekend. We all knew Jimmy was going to get on at some point. It was just kind of like what year they wanted to put him on, and this is the year they're going to put him on. So what do we think, Jim, about J-Roll and Ed Wade? Ed Wade drafted a lot of those players, of course. Pat Gillick thanked him when they won the World Series in 2008, bringing that core together.
Yeah.
Seems a well-deserved honor for sure.
Absolutely. I'm very happy for Ed, richly deserved. You mentioned Pat Gillick thanking him the night they won the World Series. That was kind of remarkable. And Pat also credited Ed at his opening press conference, like 5 minutes into his opening press conference. He said, Ed Wade has built a hell of a roster here. And he was, very pleased to jump in the driver's seat and take over such a good group of talent. So Pat, who is a great gentleman and a great baseball man, one of the best we've all met, ever met. And, for him to single out Ed so many times for the job he did, to me, really jumps out at you. When I think of Ed, I think of the word foundation. He was, so instrumental in building the foundation of that great era of Phillies baseball, 07 to 11, 5 division titles, 2 NL pennants, and a World Series championship. Fingerprints were all over that. So it's nice to see his, foundation efforts being honored and recognized. But he also was at the foundation of the building of Citizens Bank Park, which is one of the most beautiful parks in the land, and has been so important to this organization and the growth of this organization. So hats off to Ed. Really happy for him. And Jimmy as well. We knew that was going to happen. But, Jimmy was one of those great young players that came to flower under Ed and then won the championship a few years later.
Hey, Todd, I want to hear your opinion about Ed, because you have a different perspective as well.
Well, he was the first guy, I started covering the team in April of 2003. So he was the first GM I got to cover. And, he was, I enjoyed, I guess, working with him and talking to him. And it was cool to see how he handled a lot of criticism over the years. I mean, you talk about like a pro, just a total pro. I mean, man, to be in Philly. I mean, I'm talking to a guy who got hammered as well. Ed faced a lot of criticism and just Philly being Philly, but he was such a pro all the time. And just to bring all those guys in, like you said, Chase and Ryan Howard and Cole and Jimmy and Ryan Madsen and Brett Myers, and always very kind of humble about it. In fact, I feel like the thing about Ed today is, even if you say like, hey, Ed, do you want to talk about the time when you could have traded Chase Utley and Cole Hamels to the A's or whatever it was, or you could have traded Ryan Howard? He's like, he doesn't really like to get into that stuff, even though, because he doesn't want it to come off like I'm patting myself on the back.
Never.
Which kind of says a lot about him, which I admire. Like, he's not going, well, well, let me tell you about the time I could have made this move that would have changed the entire direction of the franchise and probably wouldn't have won the World Series in 2008 if I had made this trade. He never really wants to get into those things. It would make for a really great story, a great book. But that's just not his style. But clearly his fingerprints, like you said, Jim and Ruben, are all over those 2007, 2011 teams.
Yeah, I think people know my relationship with Ed. Ed, the one mistake he made was to hire me right off the field. But the reality of it is that Ed was one of the great mentors that I had, teachers for me as far as work ethic. He had that sort of man in the arena attitude about, never always taking the blame and always giving credit to others. That was sort of his mantra. Mm-hmm. And I felt like that was a very, very important, essential part of who he was. They had a plan. David Montgomery and Ed Wade had a plan. It was to get good and stay good. And to get good, they had to draft well and to develop well. And they did a heck of a job with many of the players that became the core players of that team, from Chooch to Cole, et cetera. You start thinking about all the guys that came through our system and the people that he acquired and the way he went about his business. Scouting and player development, he learned a lot. He was a PR guy, intern. He became, went to Houston, did a bunch of things over there, did some contract negotiation, learned about, the administration of the game there, came back as an assistant GM and really helped Lee Thomas with the 93 team as the assistant. And then getting the opportunity, he really started building from within and created that core, as you've talked about. I don't want to, kill the dead, beat a dead horse there. But for someone on a personal level, great human being, wonderful family man, and somebody that is well deserved. I'm so glad that John Middleton and others who make that decision have put him on the Wall of Fame. It's it was an emotional call that I got from him yesterday. That's when awesome. He let me know. That's
awesome. Matt Breen from the Inquirer tweeted out something this morning. Fun fact: Ed Wade, the only Wall of Fame inductee to also be a novelist.
Did you That's know right. That's right. He's written two books.
He's written 2 books.
So Ed, still working on the second one, Ed.
you Ruben, you mentioned family man. I bump into him a lot at the ballpark with his grandkids, and it's so cool that his grandkids, are going to be able to walk out on Ashburn Alley and see their granddad's plaque out there forever. And you also mentioned the plan him and David Montgomery had: get good and stay good. I remember hearing that over and over and over. And kind of built within that was a commitment to patience and a methodical approach. And they were very patient and they were methodical because they were also juggling another ball, and that was a stadium, which they viewed as kind of I don't want to say savior of the franchise, but they needed to get into a new stadium to provide revenue streams to sustain the organization and be what they wanted to be. So they were building a team, trying to build a stadium as well, and bringing that all there. So I think that led to a very methodical approach on both ends, building a stadium, building a team. And at the end, it probably didn't happen fast enough. Some people got impatient and a change was made. But under today's rules, with 6 teams making the postseason, I think Ed would have had 3 postseason teams, right?
Well, it's 2003 for sure. They just
2 or 3 or 2.
Yeah, 2003 for sure.
Okay.
2005, I think, for sure, right?
Yeah, probably 2006.
Yeah.
I will say this, and lest we forget, he was also instrumental in sort of putting the Phillies back on the map in the organization, not just with the ballpark, but with the signing of Jim Thome, bringing him in and the way that he went about getting that done, and bringing Charlie Manuel to the organization. Lest we forget, he hired Charlie Manuel, he brought in Jim Thome, and he sort of put the Phillies on the map. A lot of things that he did, in not just with building the core, but actually moving it forward, even beyond that. Again, we didn't get to the finish line with Ed because of the rules, and because, I mean, there was a time when, like, for 3 or 4 years, we started looking at the record of that team over those 4 or 5 years. One of the better ones in all of baseball.
Okay.
Just could not, put all the pieces and parts together to get to the postseason, and that was sort of his downfall.
It just didn't happen fast enough, but don't make the mistake in thinking that good things weren't happening.
Right.
Good things were happening. It just didn't reach the train didn't pull into the station quick enough under those rules. Under today's rules, with more postseason teams, they make it to the train station. They make it to October, and as we know very, very well, anything can happen in October. So
That's right.
Yeah.
But bottom line is, hats off to a great man.
Yeah, no doubt. Congrats to Ed Wade. Congrats to Jimmy Rollins, Wall of Fame. A couple of quick things here. Matt Strom, we talked about this on Monday's show. Inflammation in his left shoulder, bone bruise in his left shoulder. He was supposed to be evaluated on Thursday. Rob Thompson said they're going to give him a couple more days. They're going to evaluate him again on Saturday, but Rob said he is feeling better. Matt Strom is feeling better. Don't know what that means. I would still expect he's not going to be ready by opening day. He's still not throwing. And so we talk about options. Nabil Krismat threw the ball well again yesterday. I think 1 2/3 scoreless innings. He's a non-roster guy, but he's somebody that Rob is keeping an eye on. And Devin Sweet is on the 40-man roster. He got roughed up on Tuesday in Fort Myers. He's one of the 40-man roster candidates. So, Tyler Phillips is a candidate, I guess you could say. He's out of options. So if he doesn't make the team, he would have to go through waivers. So something to keep an eye on that. Saturday, maybe have an update on Matt Strom. A lot of people asked me yesterday what's going on with Nick Castellanos, because he hasn't played since Sunday.
Right.
So, one of the big reasons he hasn't played since Sunday is because none of the big boppers went to Fort Myers on Monday and Tuesday. None of them took that 3-hour hellish ride down the interstate down to Fort Myers and did an overnight trip. So he didn't play Monday. He didn't play Tuesday as scheduled. Wednesday was an off day. And then Thursday he came to the ballpark feeling a little bit under the weather. So I think Nick is going to be in the lineup tonight against the Yankees in Tampa. So no cause for concern there. And spring breakout game is today. Yankees tonight, Taijuan Walker pitching against the Yankees. So
sounds like a showcase to me.
Yes.
Well, you know what? And that's okay. Hopefully he pitches well. It's a great test for him. It'll see whether his stuff is really playing up the way it has over the last couple of outings. He does look sharper. Again, there's no question that the Yankees are probably looking for some starting pitching that might be out there, and they probably have the wherewithal as far as the cash flow to be able to do it. Although Brian Cashman does cry a little poverty from time to time.
He is right now.
Right now he
is right now.
But I will say that again, there's no issue at all with me with this team having too much pitching. You just never know when somebody can tweak. And I'm not trying to put the hex on anybody, but the reality of it is health is so important and it's so fragile at this time of the year. And, hopeful that these guys, all these 4, 5, 6 starters stay healthy as they roll into late March and in opening day.
Awesome. Guys, Jim, come on down, man.
Come on down. We miss you, bro.
Come on down.
We'll go get a grouper sandwich. Nice. We'll get you a little color on that skin, bro.
I was there. I had some color. It faded, but my crocuses are popping up, and my daffodils are popping up, and I got the farm to get ready for the season.
Farm. Get the farm ready.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. All right, guys. Well, we'll be back on Monday, Tuesday, early next week for more Philly show. Smell you later.
Smell you later, boys.
Smell you, Jim.
The Philly Show is brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. Subscribe to The Philly Show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like us, give us a review. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, and Threads. Find Ruben's analysis before, during, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show and MLB Network. Find Jim at allphly.com. Find me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and MLB Network.